All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you for joining us today. We have the CANversations around food going on this week as part of Cans Around the Oval 2020. My name is Sarah Stevens. I'm the coordinator of this 34-year-old tradition and 30-day-long food and fun drive that we have 4 days to go. We've never hosted CANversations before quite in this way, and we're really excited about the creativity, collaboration, and conscious efforts that really went in to making this happen even last minute. So today we have our CANversation about the value of SNAP benefits, and Maddie from the Food Bank is going to, as an affiliate of CSU, is going to share with us a lot about this topic, but also help erase maybe some misconceptions and share ways in which to apply, or if this is not something you're looking to apply for yourself, hopefully you can leave with some good, juicy content that you can share out with other folks as well. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Maddie. I'll stop sharing my screen.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Maddie. I work for the Food Bank for Larimer County, but I am an affiliate with CSU, and my main role is to actually enroll students and staff at CSU in SNAP benefits and just spread awareness about it. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started with my PowerPoint, and then if you guys have any questions along the way, just put them in the chat, and Sarah will pipe in and tell me those questions. All right, let's see. Okay, so our program at CSU is called SNAP for Rams. Hold on. Okay, so I catered this PowerPoint not only to students, because there is a lot of staff at CSU that qualify for SNAP. And so actually, let me rewind, because some people might actually not actually know what SNAP is. So SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and it's formerly known as food stamps. And we're kind of shifting towards the SNAP image, because there's a lot of stigma behind food stamps, because you literally used to get stamps in the mail, and that's why they were called food stamps. And now it's a much smoother, simpler process. And so how it works, if you qualify, you get a debit card in the mail, and each month, based on your income, and it's a little different for students, you get a certain amount, and you can use it at grocery stores, and I'll get into this much later. So just to put things in perspective, I kind of pulled this. I decided to add this because I think it's pretty eye-opening, and it's pretty important for us to kind of realize, you know, just the situation of food insecurity, especially in our community. So these are pulled from the actual food bank website. So rates of food insecurity within Larimer County. So 10.9% of Larimer County residents live at or below the federal poverty line. And I thought this number was pretty eye-opening. 38,000 Larimer County residents are food insecure. And so I really want to stress the definition of food insecurity. So it's the state of being without reliable access to sufficient quantity of affordable, nutritious food. And I want us to focus on that nutritious food, because that is the point of SNAP. It's for people to have access to be able to afford nutritious food, not food in general, but specifically nutritious food. And so then focusing more specifically among CSU students, this was a survey done back in 2019. I'm not going to go too much into it, but 53% of students fall under the category of the definition of food insecurity. And then, you know, if you go to the right, we ask specific questions, and so a lot of people said they couldn't afford to eat balanced meals. So that's why I think the nutrition part really plays an important role. So I really want to stress these myth-busting facts when it comes to SNAP benefits, because like I said, I've noticed, especially on campus, there's a lot of stigma when it comes to SNAP benefits. So a big one is that people think you're taking away benefits from other people, and that is completely false. So I actually just looked it up with my coworker, and Colorado is allotted a certain amount of money each year to go towards SNAP benefits, and we're super below the goal of like how much money, like we never reach the goal of how much money we are actually allotted. I think we're like 46th out of the 50 states, so we're really low. That means that a lot of people who qualify for SNAP benefits aren't actually signing up or just don't know about it. And so the more people who apply in Colorado, the more the state funds the state gets. So we want to get everyone who actually qualifies for SNAP. That's our goal, is to get everyone signed up. Another stigma that I want to stress, and I kind of briefly mentioned it, is that it's super convenient, it's super discreet. You just get a debit card in the mail, you've got a 4-digit PIN, you go to the grocery store and you just swipe your card. It's just like a normal transaction. You're not like getting, stamps in the mail. It's not like a big show when you go to the store. It's just like doing a normal transaction at any grocery store. Another biggie, and I just learned about this, is the economic impact of SNAP. So 150% economic impact. So for every SNAP dollar spent, there's $1.63 economic impact, which is pretty amazing. And then lastly, it's your money. So we're paying into the system with your taxes. So, if you qualify, then there's no reason for you not to be receiving SNAP benefits. So these are the major general qualifying factors. And like I said, it's a little more complicated for students, and we'll go more into detail about that. So the main ones are household size. And that means whoever you're sharing food with in your household, even if you're not related. Colorado residency, you can definitely qualify if you're homeless, and it is income based. And the next slide will kind of go more into detail. So it's earned income, the money you make from jobs, and unearned income. So right now, unemployment is a big one. That is considered income. Child support is income, cash assistance, Social Security, and then I highlighted workforce because we'll go into that too. You do have to be a citizen citizen status. You have to have been a legal resident of the United States for 5 years. That's a big one. And you have to have a Social Security number. So here are the income qualification factors, and they just changed these. So these will be effective for the next year. So for a single household, pre-tax gross monthly income has to be $2,128 or below. So you have to be making less than that in order to qualify per month. And then the column right to that is, I wouldn't pay attention to this. That's the county factors in tons of deductibles. So I'm actually going to rewind because there's lots of steps. So I work for the food bank. I don't actually make the decision of whether people are going to be accepted for SNAP benefits. I am just a SNAP representative helping people sign up for SNAP. So I do an application with you. I submit it through Peak Pro. That is the system that Colorado uses. And then it's in the hands of the county. And the county will do a more thorough interview with you. So within 30 days of me submitting your application, they'll call you and do a maybe 15-minute interview and ask you more detailed questions. And so they'll ask you about rent and utilities. And that's when all the deductibles get factored in. And that's where that middle column comes into play. And then to the right is max benefits. So for a single household, the max benefits you can get is $204, which is really significant. And then it goes up depending on members in a household. So I mentioned the deductions. So these are the deductions they are factoring in: child and adult daycare, child support, medical expenses, rent/mortgage, and utilities. I have a lot of people ask me, oh, what about my car insurance? Unfortunately, no, these are the main deductions they factor in. And within utilities, I want to highlight phone bill. So they do factor in your phone bill. And heating and cooling is it's a large one. It's a huge deductible. So specifically, I'm just going to talk about students now, because like I said, it's a little more complicated. So who counts as a student for SNAP purposes? So students 18 to 49 attending at least half-time, and half-time is 6 or more credits for undergraduate students and 5 or more credits for graduate/professional students. And then students attending less than half-time and those that are 50 plus do not need to meet the additional criteria. So that additional criteria, if you're a student, if you're a full-time student, in order to receive SNAP benefits, you have to be working at least 20 hours a week. So if you work 20 hours a week and you're a student, you qualify for SNAP. If you're not working 20 hours a week, you have to qualify for work study. So this is a biggie. You don't actually have to be doing work study. You just have to prove that you qualify for work study. And you can do this by going on your RAM Web financial aid page, and it should say whether you qualify for not, or you can always reach out to the financial aid department. If you're a parent or caregiver and a student, you automatically qualify. If you have a disability that makes working challenging, you automatically qualify. And then this last one is also super important. So let's say you don't meet any of those 4 criteria right there. There is always a backup option. It takes a little more effort. That's why it's not as popular. So let's say we fill out an application, the county receives your application, they call you. During your interview, you would simply tell the county, I'd like to participate in a workforce development program, and it's commonly known as Employment First. And what that is, it's a one-time 30-minute class, and it essentially just tells you how to get a job. And right now it's virtual, obviously, and that waives all the other qualifications. So it is always possible for a student to receive SNAP. Like I said, this one isn't as popular because it takes extra effort. And if you're receiving TANF, you qualify. Other things to factor for students. If you're a freshman, or usually it tends to be freshmen because they tend to be on the meal plan, you can't have more than half your meals paid for per week. So right now, I've noticed most freshmen have, I think, like 10 meals per week, then they would qualify. So you have to have less than half in order to qualify for SNAP. If you're
Maddie, one quick second. Can you say what TANF is one more time, the acronym for it?
Oh man, I don't even know what it stands for.
Or describe it.
It's cash assistance.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So it's a little more complicated. It's for families with children receiving extra cash assistance. But you have to have children in order to qualify for TANF. So it kind of goes along with the parent or caregiver one. I should know what the acronym is, but okay, so other factors to consider. If you're under the age of 22 and living with your parents or guardians, you have to apply as a household. So you'd have to apply all together. And then if you're receiving benefits through the VA or private scholarships, those are counted as income. So private scholarships are counted as income. However, financial aid, including Pell Grants, Perkins loans, and work study is not counted as income. So that's super important. So like I said, SNAP's super discreet, simple process. This is an actual picture of the card you get. Once you receive it, you just set up a 4-digit PIN. Like I said, you can use it at almost every grocery store in Fort Collins. And then a program I really want to highlight to the right, it's called Double Up Bucks. If you go to the farmer's market in Fort Collins, and they have this program around the country, but the double up amount varies farmer's market to farmer's market. But Fort Collins right now has the highest amount of money. So if you go to the farmer's market, and they always have a tent set up, and you go up and you say, you give them your SNAP card, and you say, I want to get $20 worth of SNAP bucks. They will give you $20. It almost looks like Monopoly money, and they will give you an additional for free. So you start out with 20 and then you end up with $40 to spend at the farmer's market. So it's an amazing program. Yeah, and so SNAP is pretty prevalent at CSU. We're really trying to promote it. We're working on a big outreach campaign right now. So I think as the months go on, you're really going to start hearing about it more and it's going to become the norm. And so right now there's 3 of us at CSU who are doing SNAP applications and always here to answer questions. So myself, and that's my contact information. Jenny and Shay are with Student Case Management. And the links at the bottom, we have this awesome system set up. If you go to the Student Case Management website, there's a specific tab that says SNAP for Rams. And we have just basic information. You can see, more of the qualifications just to read more about it. And you can schedule an appointment with us and it reflects our current availability. And yeah, if you just have questions or if you want to actually sign up, that's always a great tool just to go on the case management website and schedule a time. And, I really recommend even just calling us if you just have general questions. And then another amazing resource, which I don't know, I'm sure you guys have heard about it throughout this week, is the mobile food pantry, which is currently at the LSC. And I am physically at the pantry every time it's being held. So I'm there Wednesday and Thursday, 4 to 7, and Fridays, 9 to 12. So you can always come visit me there in person and we can do an application. It takes about 5 minutes. It's super fast. And you can also get a box of food. Questions?
All righty. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you for doing that presentation and covering more details. Yeah, we have a few questions that came in and I have some questions for you as well. The first question that, if we can go back to toward the beginning and thinking of your presentation, we had one come in that was about, are there any items that you cannot purchase with SNAP at grocery stores probably, or the farmers markets?
That's a great question. Yes. So the items you can and cannot, let's focus on the items you can't. You cannot purchase prepared food and it is not a foolproof system. So I've personally had SNAP in the past and some grocery stores I could go in and get cold prepared food, but you can never purchase hot prepared food. So honestly, it just takes some experimenting. Like I've been to Lucky's and been able to buy sushi, but then like I go to another store and you're not able to buy sushi. So it really depends. Generally speaking, they don't want you buying prepared food. Other items you can't purchase like vitamins and supplements. You can't purchase household items, so like cleaning products, and you can't purchase alcohol and cigarettes. And then at the farmer's market, same. You can't buy prepared foods. So you can buy like bakery items, but you couldn't buy like a taco at the food truck at the farmer's market. What else? I think those are the general rules. But like I said, sometimes I'm surprised. I don't know. Sometimes I will have a couple items that didn't get counted as SNAP, and I just don't really know why. But generally speaking, like almost all groceries will be that you can purchase with your SNAP benefits.
Awesome. My partner used to sell food and product at a farmer's market in Fort Collins. And yes, seeing the exchange of the double up bucks and the card, it was so easy. It was not, I don't think, intimidating. And I just wanted to share that little anecdote of, at least on the vendor side of things, I don't think there was any sort of bad experience, hopefully, that was received by folks that were utilizing it. So.
And another thing is, so the Double Up Bucks program, the $20 extra you get that they match, you can only buy fruits or veggies with that. So if you buy $20 just of your own personal SNAP bucks, you can get anything you want. What that falls under the SNAP categories of like not prepared food, but the extra $20 you get, you have to buy fruits or veggies.
All right, let's keep it going. And for those who are in attendance here, feel free to keep adding questions in. We have one from Caitlin that says, if your parents are paying rent or you are using a scholarship or loan to pay for rent, does that impact if you're eligible for SNAP?
No, you would just put, so rent is a huge deductible. And so the deductibles are important because they factor in how much you're actually going to receive. So let's say you're a student, you're not working, but you do qualify for work study. That would allow you to qualify for SNAP, and you would put 0 under rent and 0 under utilities. You're just not going to get as much money, but you can definitely still qualify. But like, so yeah, you just might not get the highest amount, which is $204 for a single household. And for the scholarships, as long as they're not private scholarships, because those are counted as income.
All righty, let's keep going. Thanks, Maddie. All right, so this is from Pamela. Do you all know if the financial aid office is broadly advertising signing up for SNAP to students?
Yes, they are. So they have a database of all the students at CSU. I don't know about staff. Well, I guess that one makes sense. All students at CSU who qualify for SNAP, and it's a large number. I think it's around 9,000 students, and they slowly have been doing so we don't get overwhelmed since there's only 3 of us actually signing students up for SNAP. They are emailing everyone on that list and doing email blasts and saying, based on your financial records, you qualify for SNAP. Here are the resources for you to sign up for SNAP benefits. So yeah, we have an amazing partnership with the financial aid department, which has been super, super helpful.
Okay, so this is a question from me. I'm going to ask this at every CANversation this week. I have 2 for you. First, I'm curious what led you to doing this work with the food bank, with SNAP, with CSU, and maybe what are some challenges you've seen lately and some joys through this whole process, particularly during COVID.
Okay. Well, I've always had a passion for hunger relief. Like all my jobs have been related to hunger relief. I just think it's, a resource that everyone should have, but sometimes things just don't line up and it's a little more challenging. And we are fortunate enough to have resources like SNAP that actually are successful, especially during these challenging times right now. I've read countless articles of like how SNAP has just been like such a successful resource. Unlike, unemployment. I have so many people call me daily and they're like, I still haven't received unemployment. I signed up in April, but SNAP is, for the most part, very efficient. The county can be a little slow, especially right now. Like I will give you a heads up that they're about 2 to 3 weeks behind with applications because I think I have been signing so many students up. They're a little overwhelmed. But yeah, it's just like awesome to see such a successful program. And some challenges have been just stigma. I think people kind of associate SNAP with welfare, and I think that's just something we really need to move away from. It's an amazing resource for students and staff. Everyone has the right to nutritious food, and SNAP is one of those benefits that allows us to do so. Did I answer all the questions?
Yeah, that was 3 questions in one, so thank you for doing that. Another one has to do with we're trying to, this is similar, but I hope is a little bit different. We're trying to think of ways to have been creative and collaborative and conscious in our efforts with CANs, and that's how these CANversations emerged. And I'm curious if you have a story to share that you noticed something that was quite creative, really collaborative, or really consciously different than you've seen it operate before through your own work and SNAP right now.
I mean, just my position itself is pretty unique. So my position, it's kind of interesting. So I'm hired through the food bank, but I'm an affiliate with CSU, but I'm paid by Hunger Free Colorado. And so Hunger Free saw the need within Larimer County for a position specifically focusing on CSU campus. And so that's pretty amazing that they were able to like come up with the funding and just have a person that is a SNAP representative at CSU. And I'm able to connect with Mike from Rams Against Hunger, and just seeing the pantry and Slice. And yeah, I think it's really inspiring to see what CSU is working on when it comes to hunger relief. Are there places we can grow? Of course. And I think sometimes it's a touchy subject, hunger relief at a college campus, because it is so apparent, but it's kind of a broken system because I could get into this for a while, but college is really, really expensive, and just cost of living, in Fort Collins is pretty expensive too. So as a result, there are people who need that extra help, but it's kind of, challenging working with administration because they'd have to admit that the system is broken. But I think COVID has been a blessing in disguise for this, because they've finally given us the attention, especially Rams Against Hunger, that we've needed. And I was just telling Sarah, we've signed up over 170 students in 6 weeks, which is amazing. Like, I have a monthly goal of 30, and I've way, way, way surpassed that. So I think it's just going to keep growing. And I think within a couple months, once we actually have like solid SNAP outreach materials, it's just going to be the norm that, students and staff see this as a normal resource. And yeah.
All right, if any attendees have any more questions, I will happily read them out. I'm going to take a peek here. All right, maybe that's it for the Q&A, possibly. Well, Maddie, thank you seriously so much for not only joining fairly last minute but doing the work at CSU and through the food bank and making it less daunting and helping us clarify this, because yeah, I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there. And this is a phenomenal hunger relief resource, particularly during COVID, but has been around for a heck of a lot of decades, I think, right? Okay.
It's an old program for sure.
So we're going to go ahead and transition to the last part here.